Excellent. Well, I want to welcome everybody here to B52's restaurant and bar here in downtown Conover in Catawba County. My name is Michael Watley, and I'm the chairman of the North Carolina Republican Party. And we're here in Catawba County today to kind of talk about what's happening or what's not happening with the governor's response to the COVID-19. And we've got a great section here of folks from the state legislature, from local governments here, as well as small business owners. And I think the primary thing that we at NCGOP would like to kind of put out is that, first off, we're not saying that COVID-19 is a hoax. We're not saying that this is not a dangerous health situation. We are very glad that the president took immediate early actions to be able to go ahead and limit the spread here in North America and in the United States, including its travel ban, including getting the FDA and other governmental agencies to move forward quickly on approving new drugs, on approving new treatments, and getting resources to the state in the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars out to all of the states to be able to mitigate the spread and mitigate the damage of the virus. But at the same time, he has now correctly realized that we need to move forward to reopen our economy. And so he has taken bold, aggressive steps to reopen the economy, create jobs, and bring the economy back online, which are not being matched by Governor Cooper here in North Carolina. And so, what we've seen from this governor is a lack of action on nursing homes, where he refused to put testing in place. He actually pulled health inspectors out. He did not follow CDC guidelines. He did not act to protect folks in prisons. So we have had a significant spike among the prison population as well as prison guards. And we also are ranked last in the country in terms of treatment for unemployment claims and processing for unemployment claims. So, these are specific actions that the state has taken or not taken that are having an impact where we're going. We also have not heard from our governor. We've not seen from our governor. The governor has not left the governor's mansion in the last 5.5 months, other than to do a fundraiser in Florida and take a walk from one of his gates to another of his gates with the protesters during the riots and looting that we had last month. So he's not come out to places like Catawba County or Lincoln County or Alexander County. He has not heard from small business owners and local officials in terms of what the impact of this lockdown has meant and what we need to have going forward with it. So I'm very excited to be joined today by a great group of local officials as well as small business owners from the Hickory region, and appreciate all of you guys coming out and talking about the impacts and what we think we need going forward in order to help get this economy back on track. With that, I'd like to introduce Representative Jason Sain from Lincoln County. Thank you so much for coming out, and love to hear from your thoughts.
Yeah, no, thank you all, and appreciate the struggle, because the struggle is real for our small businesses, for families. Our governor doesn't have a plan. I mean, it's readily evident, right? He's had months and months to think about all kind of things with his lockdown. He sets dates, he pushes them back because he can't figure it out. Honestly, we're a ship at sea without a captain, and that's the real travesty for everybody in North Carolina. If you own a small business, if you got kids that are going back to school, if you got loved ones in nursing homes, I mean, we've got a governor that talks about science and data and ignores the science and data, and does it on a regular basis. As a legislator, it's incredibly frustrating as we've tried to move forward and put bills forward and try to make it law where we can open back up, because we're constantly fighting with this guy, who never gives us information. We learn about it as legislators when you do. As he goes on television, as he comes out of the bunker, pretends to pull the mask off for a second and goes on television, and then crawls right back into the bunker at the governor's mansion. And to your point, Michael, we've got a governor who doesn't get out, and I don't think he's been in Western North Carolina. I traverse the state every week as we've been in session. You stop and you talk to people, and they certainly have opinions. And when you talk to small business people, especially, this is their livelihood. This is how their families pay for their homes. This is how their families pay for their vacations. This is how they buy school clothes. When they can't operate, and we keep them, sheltered for such a long time without any plan to reopen, we are doing devastating things to our economy. We had one of the best economies in the United States, in the world. And we've got a governor that has fought us all along the way, but who never missed the opportunity to cut a ribbon for a new business coming to North Carolina, Well, he finally fixed that. When you shut the entire state down, when other states are finding ways to reopen, yes, we know the virus is real. We know that it's a real concern. But we also have enough time and enough data to know how to mitigate what we're facing. People will still get sick. That's certainly going to be the case. Only a human being would be so arrogant to think that we could defeat a virus in a matter of seconds. We can't do that. We can't just stay at home. We've got to practice our social distancing. We've got to take precautions. But things we should have been doing anyway, washing your hands, being safe. We all know this. But we've got a governor who can't get past that part of it. He can't figure out what is the next step. And part of it's politics. Part of it is, I think, just ineptitude. He just doesn't know what to do. He's got a Health and Human Services secretary who issues dictates along with him on a regular basis. But again, isn't out. She's not from North Carolina. She doesn't know what this state is like. She doesn't know anything past Raleigh. And it becomes more and more evident. And Raleigh doesn't have the solution. Local businesses, local people, they know what they need to do and what's best for them. And I've said this all along. Businesses will take care of their customers because without their customers, they don't have a business. It's counterintuitive. To think that government has your best interest at heart, that's just not going to be the case. I trust those folks. And look, it is partly what makes this country great is that we rely on individuals. We rely on that can-do spirit. We will get through this, certainly. But our governor is being an obstacle, and that's a sad part of this.
Thank you, Jason.
Sir. Sure. My name is Scott Riley. I'm the district attorney for the 36th district, which is Catawba, Caldwell, and Burke counties. And what I would like to say is just a little update on what's going on in the criminal justice system. We are trying to adapt to Chief Justice Beasley's order that has stopped all jury trials through at least the month of July. And we are hearing essential courtroom matters such as first appearances. We're taking guilty pleas in front of our local judges, but unfortunately we are not able at this time to hear jury trials. We are working with court officials in trying to find large venues where we can still move court cases through. We are working with our Chief Judge, Nathan Poovey, in adapting our courtrooms so that when we can open up the courtrooms for trials, that we will be able to do that with social distancing protections in place.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Jack?
I'm Jack Sims. I'm from Alexander County. I serve as a council member on the board of Taylorsville, but I also am the chairman of the Republican Party for Alexander County. And so, from a small town perspective, we're about 2,300 folks in the county, but we're the county seat. And so, we don't have a revenue process unless we can get taxes and, collect our water bills. And, the only impact that's really hurt Taylorsville at this moment is that with the governor's mandate, to the moratorium on shutting people's water off because they didn't pay the bill, we've got to pay that bill. That bill's going to have to be paid so that we can continue getting it from our supplier. We don't want to cut nobody's water off, but we want folks to pay the water bill. But then, we've got people in our town. We had a brewery that just opened up. They took about 7-8 months to get ready to open up. And now they can only open 1 day a week. And when you have that kind of investment into a nice facility downtown Taylorsville, it's that's been an impact on them. And the other thing, earlier this year, Alexander County, Taylorsville was identified as an opportunity zone. And so we were really looking forward to some growth in Taylorsville, but because of the mandates that have been put in place, that has stopped that totally dead in its tracks. And, we feel that we were on the verge of seeing some good things, a rebirth to downtown Taylorsville. And, of course, we've not seen that because folks are staying sheltered. They're staying in place because what they're hearing, they're living in fear. And so, it's interesting to me. We can go to a grocery store. We can go to a department store, but we can't go to a restaurant. We can't go to a gym. We can't go to a pub. So, that has affected Taylorsville. And there's a lot of things that affected our county as well, looking at our school system. I have people concerned what's going to happen with schools. Are they going to open on time? Or what is it going to be? So it'd be nice to get some direction from Raleigh, from the governor, so that our folks can make plans so that we can continue living our lives.
Jack, thank you. David.
Yes. So I serve on the local Catawba County GOP executive team, but I'm also in healthcare here locally in Catawba County, and the impact that I have seen both in the hospital setting and in the outpatient clinics is a lot of good people being laid off, a lot of healthcare workers that have really risked a lot to try and stay engaged in this time of uncertainty. And the uncertainty has led to them losing their jobs. Many of them have been laid off. Others have had their hours cut back. And so it's really impacted the healthcare workers that we said that we were here to protect and hold up and praise for the risks that they take. And now they're being laid off and having their hours cut. And the question that I have is the original intent of this whole thing was to manage the hospitalization rate so the hospitals were not overwhelmed. The hospitals are not overwhelmed. They're not overwhelmed in Catawba County. They're not overwhelmed in North Carolina. And so the question is, why are we continuing this lockdown? If we've achieved what we said we were out to achieve at the beginning. And another side effect to all this fear-mongering that is going on is that patients are scared to come in for their annual physicals. They're scared to come in to get their oncology medicines that they need on a monthly basis. And they're just not showing up. And that's going to have a long-term impact on the health and well-being of people all throughout North Carolina. So I would like to see the fear-mongering stop. I would like to see context brought to these numbers. They always talk about the number of cases. I want to hear about the hospitalization rate. I want to hear about the death rate, because those are the two most important things that we see now with COVID is the hospitalizations and death. And yet all we hear is the numbers are going up. The number of cases are going up. I would like to see Governor Cooper provide some context to those numbers and stop the fear-mongering.
Excellent. Thank you. Mike?
So, I'm Mike Pastelak. I own Patriot Axe Throwing in Hickory, North Carolina. And I spent 10 years of my life in the United States Army. My wife did as well. We were both Black Hawk pilots, as a matter of fact. I did 2 tours in Afghanistan. I put 20 souls on an aircraft and landed in a hot LZ, getting shot at, dropped those guys off, went back and delivered 4,000 pounds of ammunition to those same guys. The government trusted me enough that they allowed me to fly a multi-million-dollar aircraft with 20 people on board. But now, 5 years later, I'm not trusted enough to open my own business. And it makes me mad as hell to think that Governor Cooper can take better care of my family than what I can. These orders, and the reason that we're suing the governor with our current lawsuit, or our active lawsuit, is not for money, but because that's not the freedoms that me and my wife fought for. We need to get our economy back open. And at the rate we're going, we have so much uncertainty that Governor Cooper hasn't announced any kind of plans. We don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next. And as you were saying, he's going out and he can walk around his property or the governor's mansion with protesters, but then, a business owner in Catawba County can't open their business. He doesn't know what precautions I'm taking because he hasn't been here. So I invite Governor Cooper to come on out. Come out, throw axes with me, have a beer. I won't charge you. We'll just sit down and have a round table. I would welcome that. But as you stated before, he's not coming out of his house. And as legislators, it makes me upset that he won't communicate with you guys, because at the end of the day, the Emergency Management Act needs to go away. You cannot give one man so much power in our state. And until we get that resolved, we could just declare emergencies and one man can rule. North Carolina, in our Constitution, we said that there is no one man is king. But that's not what's happening here, and we need to move forward with that. So I want to see our legislators start putting legislation out and running across Roy Cooper's desk, stating or getting rid of this Emergency Powers Act. I think we can start with that. That'll help to open up our economy. That'll help to get business owners back on. Me and my wife have lost, close to $100,000 at this point. We can't sustain for much longer. Going the rate we're going. And we're open, but we're not getting people in because of the fear-mongering, as you were stating. People are scared to come out, and we've taken all the proper precautions. So at this point, we got to quit with the fear-mongering. We got to start looking at the positives, and we got to start getting people back out in our economy and spending money in our businesses. Lowe's and Walmart, Home Depot, they had record earnings this past quarter. They're going to have record earnings for the second quarter. And meanwhile, in Asheville, I just saw today, 4 restaurants went out of business. In Catawba County, I know a barber that's went out of business. I know restaurant owners that have went out of business. So at some point, we have to make the decision if we're going to just continue to let a virus rule us, if we're going to continue to let a governor rule us that's not coming out of his mansion, or if we're going to take our power back.
Excellent. Thank you, Mike. Paxton?
Yeah, Paxton Talent with the YMCA of Catawba Valley. And I know when I say YMCA, a lot of people think about this big global organization, but at the end of the day, we're a small business just like you are. The YMCAs are formed and they have the authority to serve their community. And so a YMCA in Hickory looks totally different than a YMCA in Charlotte, than a YMCA in Cincinnati, than a YMCA anywhere else in the country. We're designed to serve our community. And when this happened back in March, the YMCA, we pivoted our traditional operations. We began immediately offering emergency child care for essential workers so that they could work and fight this virus. For the nurses, for the doctors, for the police officers, for the first responders, the people who had to work, we took care of their kids so that they could. Over the course of, I guess now we've missed 2 days that we thought we might be able to open. We've lost over nearly $500,000. And $500,000 to us is a significant, it just can't be made up. And it has been extremely difficult. We've got 200 employees who call the Catawba Valley area home, who are sitting at home without a job right now because we're hybridly open. Our 3 areas of focus are youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. And so we are a social responsible organization. And because of that, we're not looking for loopholes to open. We're not doing any of that. But we are offering child care by state recommendations. Our pools are open because of state recommendations. We're doing outdoor group exercise classes. We've done a lot of things virtually to keep people engaged. But because the doors to our inside wellness center are closed, so many of the senior population, so many people who need exercise, who need that social outlet, aren't getting chronic disease. Live Strong at the YMCA, that's for cancer survivors. The diabetes prevention program for people with pre-diabetes, they're not happening. And those are extremely important to fight those chronic conditions. And so, I tell people all the time, we're trying our best to make plans, but we're operating on assumptions at this point, and we don't have any real direction on where to go, and what the fall will look like. And we've had numerous programs that have been canceled, sports that teach kids sportsmanship and friendship and how to be on a team. They're not happening. Silver Sneakers programs, insurance-based memberships for the senior population to get them in the doors and get them around people like them. They're not happening. And so it's been really tough on us over the past 4.5 months of how do we pivot, where do we go, what does it look like. I think we're doing the best we can, but when you lose $500,000, that's a big hit in the pocket. It's hard to be made up.
Well, let me say this. I think, as we hear voices from across the state, and we're hearing here from Lincoln County and from Catawba County and Alexander County. It's the radio silence. It's the lack of communications. The fact that the governor has met with protesters and he's marched with protesters, but he has not met with small business owners, and he's not met with the legislators. Certainly, he's not met with gym owners. He's not met with bar owners. He's certainly not come out to North Carolina and talked with people. If you could send one message to the governor, what would that message be?
My message would be to open North Carolina up. Enough is enough. Open North Carolina up.
I would say begin to lead. Finally become the leader that you're supposed to be. And some of that leadership is coming out from the mansion, meeting with the people, having a better thumb on the pulse of what's going on out there in the community. Because when you're holed up in your mansion, and I think he's just taking the lead of Joe Biden, who hadn't come out of his basement but once or twice. But that's not leadership, right? And he needs to be out there with the people and understanding what we are dealing with.
It's come to the Y. Come to a wellness center and see how we can open safely. And I have no doubt we can do it. We take care of our people. That's what we do.
Jack?
Come visit a rural township. We pay taxes. We like our country. We love our state. That's why we're here. Come visit us and hear what we've got to say, so that we know what your thought process is. Make a decision so that we'll know how to plan our lives and our town for our citizens.
Let's say just communicate with our local officials and our court officials so that we can deliver justice more effectively in the courtroom.
Thank you. Jason, final word?
Yeah, no, I'll try to clean it up. What I would like to say to our governor, first of all, you can't manage the chaos you've created. We've got a state that we've got lawlessness everywhere, as we've seen that's happened across the state. We've got folks, not feeding their mental health, and certainly not feeding their physical health. The needs there, we're not meeting this. Man can't live by bread alone. Simply paying people to stay at home, and it's not even doing that correctly. By the way, we are the worst state in terms of delivering these unemployment benefits that the federal government voted on. I mean, this administration couldn't run a one-car funeral. I mean, it's chaos everywhere. It is the Cooper chaos, and he should own it. But we can sit here and throw rocks at him. What we really want is just someone to lead, someone to say, okay, let's open up this state. Let's get people back to work in a safe way. There's safe ways to do this, but you can't rely on an economy that has no revenue. As a local official, you can't plan for the next year if there's no revenue coming in. And you can't go to people who aren't making revenue and ask them for more revenue. I mean, at some point in time, the math just doesn't work. And by the way, the state can't operate that way. We're facing shortfalls. When, in early March, I was talking about what we were going to do with a surplus. Now we're talking, how do we fill the holes of this deficit created by Roy Cooper? There's no other person to blame but Roy Cooper. And this is what will be his legacy as governor. You can't hide in a hole. You can't come out for a brief second to throw a fist up in the air with a couple of protesters because they happen to agree with you politically, and then run back in and hide. There are real people across the state. And Roy Cooper's forgotten that. He used to be in the state Senate. He used to, deal with constituents. He doesn't even deal with legislators who are just across the street. I've had one meeting with him his entire time he's been the governor. And I'm the appropriations chairman for the State House. I mean, that's absolutely ludicrous. But that's what we're faced with in North Carolina. And, the way to remedy this, unfortunately, we don't have the numbers in the State House or State Senate right now. We do have majorities, but we don't have supermajorities. But you've got to elect House members, you've got to elect Senate members, and we've got to elect a governor who is ready to lead. And above everything, I think we can make it that long. I don't want to make it that long. We just need to get out there. But if he chooses to ignore the citizens of this state, then people ought to rise up and show up at the polls like never before and vote this guy out of office. He's auditioning for something national anyway. I think he wants to be Joe Biden's love child or something, or maybe running mate. But we don't have time for that. We can't afford it. You can't afford it. I own a small business. We've lost over $100,000 in our small business. I'm mad about that because we have absolutely every potential to do more. We were doing so well in this state prior to Cooper, becoming a dictator, which is essentially what he has because of this act that we can't undo until we get a new election. So we absolutely have to get that message out there to people. They already know it. People, they know that deep inside. They know this is wrong. I've got in Lincoln County. You probably saw this. We had someone call and report to the city council, to the city police about a business that was open because someone had come into the business and didn't wear a mask. The business owners being punished, being fined, being cited for this because we've essentially created a bunch of little informers. Now there's a Facebook group in Lincoln County, which I never thought I would see this, of a busybody who's out there informing on businesses and people walking into businesses without masks. Certainly wear your mask, but do what you feel comfortable doing. I'm not here to dictate to you as a government official. That's not what we believe. You will do what's best for your health. I believe that. But we've got to get past this. We have got to do better for our citizens. We can't continue this chaos. And so the sooner we get rid of Roy Cooper, the better off we'll all be.
Excellent, Jason. And I would just say, this is a great state. I think the governor should come out and see it. I think it's very important for him to hear voices like yours. He should talk to the county commissioners and the city councilmen and the small business owners and certainly the legislators and get a better understanding of the chaos that his policies are causing as he moves around the state. And at that point, maybe we will get better movement in terms of reopening the state and unleashing the economy. I think it's a terrible statistic that North Carolina was only one of 12 states that did not have job increases over the course of the last month, while the president and other states are moving forward to unleash their economies. And our numbers in terms of COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths are very consistent with what we've seen across the country and getting better. So I want to thank all of you for coming out here today. I want to thank you all for lending your voices to this discussion, and we look forward to working with you all as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Watt. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, you really appreciate it.
How
Absolutely.
things in Burke County?
I'll be up there.
What's your last name?
It's
I